What is up, Outriders, and welcome to today's video, guys. Today we're going to be taking a look at one of the brand new legendary items or gears coming out in Outriders Worldslayer DLC coming out June the 30th. So, of course, to get started, we're going to get started with one of my favorite characters, the Devastator, and they're introducing a brand new legendary armor called the Concussioner. If you guys don't know what a concussion is when you get hit in the head and it actually causes a lot of damage. But with that being said, guys, let's take a look at the armor, and I want to know from you guys, what is your favorite armor piece for the Devastator currently right now? Let me know in the comments section down below. So let's take a look at this armor, and then we're going to break down exactly what the benefits are of the armor set. We're also going to be taking out a build that they put together and kind of putting everything together and explaining to you guys why this synergizes so well with the actual build. So let's start off with the headpiece, guys. We get a look at the Concussioner helmet, and as you guys may already know, currently right now with the new Worldslayer option, we have an option to get a legendary item that we're going to be able to apply a total of 3 mods, not just 2 like before. We're actually able to apply 3 of them. Well, what does the Concussioner 3-piece bonus actually do? Well, what it does is it says take damage, generates melee energy. Using your melee skill releases the energy, dealing 80% of the taken damage within a 10-meter radius. The release damage scales with your armor, generating energy depleted gradually every 2 seconds. So basically, guys, this armor is going to be that tank armor, that melee armor. We really didn't have a melee armor in our arsenal as a Devastator. There wasn't something so tied into melee. This one specifically is tied into melee a lot. Like I said, later we're going to be taking a closer look at the armor sets and talk about how they synergized and how they put this build together. But I wanted to give you guys an overall idea of what the armor is able to do and what its main perk is. So as you guys know, main perk, once again, guys, is allowing you to be able to do melee damage and do a ton of melee damage at a pretty big, if you ask me. 10 is actually pretty big. So with that being said, let's take a look at what exactly is being synergized with this particular build. So let me pull up the build that they put together here, and we're gonna kind of break this down real quick. So skills are using Gravity Leap, they're using Golem, and Reflect Bullets. Now, Gravity Leap is going to be very crucial because that's going to allow you guys to kind of stack off Golem. If you guys don't know, the synergy that works pretty well here is you want to make sure you Gravity Leap, hit you hit the enemy, you Golem, Gravity Leap again, so you can just build up that massive amount of damage that you're able to output. Reflect Bullets, I'm still questioning it just a tad bit because, as you guys know, Reflect Bullets, it wasn't like a main focal point in our previous builds in the Devastator. It was actually pretty good if people were shooting you, but it wasn't good if people were just coming up to you and mailing you. So I want to see if they tweaked that or did anything different with Reflect Bullets. But as from what I'm reading from the flavor text, there's absolutely nothing different. Now, I don't know how that's going to synergize well, or maybe we could have gone with something else in that particular skill column, but we're going to have to test it out and see. All right, so let's take a look exactly at what and how they put this build together. So we're going to be breaking down 2 different sets of skill trees. We're going to be breaking down the one that you guys already know, and then we're also going to be breaking down the new one that you guys probably are not familiar with, which is the Resher. And that is going to be based on what they picked and why they went out the skill tree. So for the skill tree, we're going to notice that they went bottom tree and then they went top to the middle, right? So as you guys notice right here, they're picking up a lot of Anomaly. So basically Anomaly power is getting increased as well. They're picking up skill life leech as well. And in addition to that, they're also picking up skill cooldown. Now, one interesting thing that they went to do is they picked Paladin, which activates a protection skill, which is increasing the Anomaly power. So when you activate Golem or any sort of protection skill, you're going to increase that Anomaly power. And that's why you see a lot of Anomaly nods being picked up. And there's a lot of skill cooldown. Plus, they're also doing a lot of bleed duration. So I'm pretty sure that bleed is being applied here to making sure that the bleed stacks up with that protection and with that damage. Now, they also went ahead and picked Storm Arm of the Law, which is going to allow you to deal more damage when you melee, which makes perfect sense because the armor set ties down to that melee effect, right? They also went ahead and picked a Stone Circle, which is increased the distance considered to be close range by 4 meters. So that means that you're going to be doing a lot of more damage to multiple enemies because that close range is getting applied less. Now, when they went towards the middle tree, this is where they're going to be picking up the majority of their health. They're going to be picking up a lot of their armor. And of course, reducing the skill cooldown for protection skills, right? So this, remember, Golem, we want to make sure we're proccing that very frequently. And since we're trying to proc that frequently, it's allowing us to be able to do that because if we go up, we get that nice cooldown to the protection tree. Now, in addition to that, guys, they're going to go ahead and, once again, like I said, stack up an armor. But the main thing they went to, which is the Mighty Tank, which is the final Warden skill, it's going to increase the firepower by 5% of your armor. So we're stacking up very high on armor and allowing that armor to go ahead and give us more firepower. Now, they also went ahead and increased the Anomaly power based on the armor. So basically what we're doing here, or what they were trying to do here within this build, is stack up as much armor as they possibly can, and allowing that armor to compensate and give us more firepower and, of course, give us more health. And as you guys see right here, that is the main purpose. Now let's take a look at the retro pack tree, which is the one you're probably wondering, how does that tie in specifically with this particular build? All right, so we take a look at the packs tree, guys. This is where things get a little bit interesting, because there's a couple things that are happening here that we are not being able to pick up and from the skill tree, which actually makes sense now. If you guys don't know, you're probably seeing like a couple things on the skill tree. You're probably wondering, well, where are they picking up bleed from? And where are they going to be picking up more power weapons? So within the retro tree, guys, they're picking up a lot of really important things, as you can see just by looking at the image itself. We're picking up some firepower. We're also being able to pick up bleed, which is by every time you shoot someone or you inflict bleed with your weapon, which makes perfect sense. So that's how we're tying in that bleed effect. And last but not least, guys, we have the last nod, which is going to be extremely important, because that last nod is going to allow you guys to kind of release a seismic pulse effect every single time you're moving around. So that's actually pretty dope. Now, in addition to that, guys, there is going to be another thing that you're probably not figuring out exactly what's going on. If you notice on the left-hand side, you have Anomaly, Endurance, Brutality, and Prowess. This is a brand new system that allows you to put points into specific categories. And as you guys see, they went ahead and have spent the majority of their points in certain items. So Anomaly power got boosted, resistant piercing got boosted, status power got boosted, and anomaly damage got boosted within the anomaly tree. Within the endurance tree, they also went ahead and boosted health, armor, elite damage mitigation, and resistance. And then the brutality tree, they went ahead and boosted armor piercing, close range damage, so that close range damage is getting reduced, and they boosted weapon damage. And for the Prowess one, the majority of points were spent within cooldown reduction, damage against elites, which is extremely important, and critical damage was also boosted as well. Magazine size was boosted. Now, you're probably wondering why magazine size was boosted, because if you notice in the skill tree, remember, depending on how many bullets we have is the amount of damage we're going to be able to do within that skill tree. That's kind of giving you guys a complete breakdown of why and the process behind this. I just don't get the reflect bullets. The only thing I can see tying into the reflect bullets is you capturing those bullets, dishing those bullets out to cause bleed to the majority of the enemy. So it makes a little bit perfect sense why they went that route and how they did it. So overall, in general, that is kind of like the breakdown of the actual build itself. I would probably gone a little different. I'll change a couple things, but of course, I will have build videos for you guys once the launch of the game gets released. Now, with that being said, let's take a look at what got highlighted within the trailer and why those make perfect sense within the synergy. Now, one of the mods they highlighted was called a mod level 3, which is called Chip Off the Old Block. And this is when you activate Golem while the skill is active. So when you activate Golem, using your melee skill while sprinting creates a Golem clone that jumps towards the nearest enemy and deals 300 plus damage off the melee skill damage within a 3-meter radius. This reminds me a lot of the Titan Smash or the Titan Slam in Destiny, where you're able to do that. So this is actually pretty cool, because not only Golem becomes more viable, but you're able to do more stuff with Golem. And as you guys notice right here within the kind of like their skill setup, they went ahead and boosted Brawler, which is going to boost your melee skill damage by 100. So theoretically speaking, that's 400 damage right there. And then the stare into the barrel, that kind of makes perfect sense way they're putting that together when it comes to the damage of the weapon. Now, if you guys notice the helmet, guys, they also went ahead and boosted a couple other mods right here, which is Claws, which is going to infect vulnerability on enemies hit by melee. So every time you're hitting the enemy, they're being vulnerable. So being vulnerable, I think it's 30% reduction of the health that they do. It drops. So that you're going to be able to melt enemies a lot with that melee, which is really good. Now, the only one that I'm questioning is the Ashen boost, which we're not applying Ash with any of our skills. So I'm trying to figure out if they picked any weapon that actually is going to be applying Ash. Now, we take a look at the chest plates, guys. This is where kind of things get a little bit crazy, because they went ahead, of course, we have Preservance, which is going to increase your Golem effect. So that means you're going to be able to do that melee effect more often. And they also have a brand new mod, which is called Rockfall. Now, the skill throws a debris bomb in the direction of the random enemy every 5 seconds that deals 4 million damage. Every enemy that is hit by the rock fragment from the debris bomb receives 30% more melee damage for 3 seconds. This is actually pretty cool, because that is going to allow us to do even more damage within that melee effect, which is going to increase our melee effect by 30%, which is actually pretty dope. So that's awesome, guys. That's awesome. And last but not least, guys, we're going to be taking a look at the pretty much at the gloves here. Now we have another level 3 mod here called Concussive Force. Your melee skill deals 25% more damage in 100 bigger range, which is really cool. They're also picking up martial arts, which is going to reduce the cooldown of your melee skill. Now this is a pretty crazy build, guys, because it's kind of like a one-punch build. It's awesome, a lot of melee being done, and definitely one that I really want to try out and maybe tinker just a tad bit and change a couple things around. Now as far as weapons, what are they doing with their weapons? Because you are going to be being at close quarter combat. Let's take a look at the guillotine, which is a legendary shotgun. Since you're going to be being close, you're going to need a little big weapon and a powerful weapon to deal out full. So we have radiation splash. This is actually pretty cool because every time we reload, it's going to call a small explosion that inflicts vulnerability. Really important because you want to make sure everybody is vulnerable when you are doing your melee, so you're killing them a lot faster. Now this is really cool because it allow you to pick up a couple things here. When it explodes, you remember we picked up a thing within the skill tree that explosions deal more damage. We also have moaning winds here, which is when we reload, it's going to create a strong blast. This is definitely one of my favorite mods. So not only are we applying vulnerability when we're reloading, but we're also applying moaning winds. And then we have the last one, which is called Life and Dead. Killing shots create a blast that restores 20% of your max health. So we're getting our health back from that gun right there. And last but not least, guys, they're using the Mythos, which is going to be a light machine gun. So it's going to be our second weapon, which we have Omen. So shots launch cover, piercing anomaly, projectiles that inflict bleed. Really important because remember, we are going within the skill tree. We are picking up bleed, and that bleed effect is going to be giving our health. Plus, it's going to allow us to do a little bit more damage. We got Striga, which is going to give us 10% of critical damage to return to you as health. We're getting our health from our weapon. And then we have the Essence Step shots regenerate your health. Now, this is where I kind of question the build just a tap bit because that particular mod that they applied, which was the Ash mod, it doesn't really make sense to me right there because we are not applying Ash at all on anything. So I don't know why they went with that one. I'm kind of questioning why Ash and Boost was there when there is no Ash being applied to any enemy. Maybe there could have been a different mod, could have been moved right here. Or maybe this is what it dropped with and they just couldn't put anything else there. So if that would have had a different mod, I think it would have made the build very perfect. So overall, in general, guys, that is what we have in regards to the brand new legendary armor. That's my complete breakdown of the actual build itself. Let me know what you guys think. Are you guys happy with the new DLC that's be coming out in Outriders? And will you be picking it up? And do you think that you could do better with the same build? Or do you think I could do better with the same build? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.